Hello, in this video I am going to talk about how to use JSP and Servlet with web.xml. In recent trends, a billion bytes of data is guaranteed on a day-to-day basis. Most of us believe in the misconception that all of the web applications are created over web frameworks like HTML, PHP, JavaScript, etc. But didn't you know web applications can be based on Java using services like Servlet and JSP? In this article, let's dive deep into the technology and understand how it is useful for creating a web application. Below is the list of topics that I will be covering in this Servlet and JSP tutorial. Servlet, Web and HTTP, Introduction to Servlet, Servlet Lifecycle, Step 2 Creative Cells, Session Tracking, Cookies. JSP, Introduction to JSP. JSP was servlets. JSP is scripting elements. JSP requires and response. Web HTTP. First one is Web HTTP. Web is system of internet service that support formatted documents. The documents are formatted using a markup language called HTML, hypertext markup language, that support link to other documents like graphics, audio and video file, etc. Now this is an image react to what I said. Now that we know what is web, let's move further understand what is website. So a website is a collecting of static file, i.e. web page like HTML page, image, graphics, etc. And the web application is a web with dynamic functionality on the server. Google, Facebook, Twitter are example of web application. So what are the link between the web and HTTP? Let's now find out. HTTP, Hypertext Protocol. HTTP used client and server community on the web is considered as a stateless protocol. Basic, it supports only one request per connection. With HTTP, the client connect to the server to send one request, and the disconnect and mechanism allow more users to connect to given server over a period of time. Here's to the client said an HTTP request and the server's answer with an HTML page, the client using HTTP. That was about HTTP and web. Now let's dive deep into servlets and understand its working mechanism. Second one is introduction to servers. Servlet is server-side Java program module that handles client requests and implements the server interface. Server can respond to any type request, and they are commonly used to extend the application host by web servers. Now this is an image reacted to what I said. Client request, server response sent to client. In this figure, you can see a client send sends a request to server and the server guarantees the response, analyzes it and sends the response back to the sent. Now let's jump into the next concept and understand server life cycle. Next one is servlet life cycle. The entering life cycle of servlet managed by the servlet config, which using the Java Servlet interface to understand the servlet object and manage it. Servlet life cycle. The servlet life cycle mainly goes through 4 stages. This image reacted to what I said. Loading a servlet. When a servlet set up, the servlet container develop load all the servlets, initializing the servlet. Next, the servlet initialized by calling the into method. Servlet initial method is called by servlet container is notified that the servlet the instatement successfully and is about to put into service. Request handling. Then servlet calls service method to process a client request and inform the servlet about the client response. Destroy the servlet. Finally, a servlet increment by calling the destroy. The destroy method run only one duration, the lifetime of a servlet, and signals an end of the servlet instance. Init and destroy method are called only once. Finally, servlet is garbage collector by the garbage collector of the JVM. So this consider to life cycle of servlet. Now let me guide of through the setup of creating Java servlets. Next one, setup to create servlet. In order to create servlet, we need to follow a few steps in order. They are as follows: create the destroy structure, create servlet, compile servlet, added mapping to the web.xml file, start server and deploy the project, access the servlet. Now basics to the above steps. Let's create program to understand better how servlet works. To run servlet program, we should have Apache Tomcat servers install the configured. Select for Java EE provides in bulk Apache Tomcat once the server is configured. You can start with your program. One important point to note: for any servlets program, you need 3 files: index.html file, Java class file, and web.xml file. The very first step is create dynamic web page and proceed further. Now let's take an example where I will be create a sample login servlet and display the output in the browser. First I create index.html file. This code example Now I in the image reacted to what I said. Doc type HTML tag, body tag, table open tag, form open tag, method post. Right. Next, let's code the Java class file. This is an image reacted to what I said. Java class file. In the above code, I have sent condition if username and password equal to direct to only it will be displayed successfully logged in, else login will be denied. After write the Java class file, the last step to added mapping to web.xml file. Let's see how to do that. The web XML file will be present to the web INF folder to your web content. It is not present. Then you can click deployment descriptor and click on generate deployed descriptor such stuff. Once you create your web XML file ready, you need added the mapping to list. See how mapping done using a below example. This is an image reacted to what I said. So this is how servlet is created and configured. Let's now see what running servlets is. How is it created? Running servlets. It is a protocol independent servlets that should override the server's methods to handle the client request. The service method accept to ZAND. Servlet request object and servlet response object working for request about object to inform the servlet about the request made by client. Write the response object returns a response back to the client. Gen servlet is an abstract class and it has only one abstract method. Which servlet? That's the whole concept. That's the whole concept when we create a garnish server. By extending the garnish server class, we must override the server method. Now let's try how to create and invoke a garnish server. Again, I will be code 3 file shown below. HTML file. We are creating an HTML file that will be called servlet. Once we click on the link to the web page, creating this file in the web connect to folder. The path of this file should be look is in web content index HTML. This code example related to when I said. Java class file. Here we will be creating a garnish server by extending garnish server class. When creating generic server, you must override the server method. Right to click the src folder and create a new class file and names of file. Generic the file path. should look like Java resources, src, default, package, garnish.java. Now this is an image related to what I said. web.xml. This file can be found at the path web content or web.inf or web.xml in the file. We will map the servlet with the specified URL. Since we can call in the welcome page upon clicking the link on index.html, it will map in the welcome page to the servlet class that we have already created above. This code example related to what I said. After this, start your Tomcat server and run the servlet. You will get the desired output. So was all about server. Now let's move further and understand the concept of session tracking. Session tracking. Session simple mean a practically interval of time. Session tracking is technically to maintain state data of a use, also known as session management in servlet. So each time user requests to the server tracked the request as the now request. Below figure dispatch how to each request to the client considered as a new request. Now this is an image related to what I said. In order to organize a particle use, we need session tracking. Let's move further and see once the technical of session tracking, i.e. cookies. A cookies is simple piece of information the persists between the multiple client requests. A cookies has name, a single value and option abstract such as a comment. Path and domain qualifies a maximum age and a version number. How do cookies work? As is the technical of session tracking, by default each required request is considered as a new request. This image this is an image related to what I said. In this we added a cookies with the response of the servlet, so the cookies is stored is cached to the browser. After that, if request is sent by user, cookies is added with the request by default. Now as you have understood how to cookies works, let's see small example illustrating the use of cookies. Let's see example of creating cookies, adding the response and relating the results. Here I will be written to Java class file, i.e. my servlet 1 and my servlet 2. File my servlet 1. This code example related to what I said. My servlet 2. This image related to what I said. Now it's create a simple HTML from cookies. This image. Now this is an image related to what I said. Now you are all set executional. You can run the code and get the desired output. This is how cookies works. So the was all about servlets. Now that you have gained some into servlets, let's move ahead to understand what is Java server pages. Java server pages, JSP. JSP or Java server page is technology that is used to create a web application just like servers technology. It is extension to servlet as is provide to functionality then servlet such as explanation language, JSTL, etc. A JSP page consists of HTML tags and JSP tags. The JSP page are easy to maintain than servlet because we can separate design and development. Now as we know what JSP is, let's compare JSP with serverless and understand which is best substrate of the web. Advance of JSP over servlets. JSP servlet. JSP extension of servlet, easy of maintain. JSP. No need recompile or redeploy. Less code than a servlet. Servlets not an exception to servlet. Bit complicated. The code needs to be pre-complete. More code compared to JSP. I hope to understand of difference between JSP serverless. Now let's move in further understand scripting elements. Right. JSP scripting elements. The scripting elements provide the ability of Java code inside the JSP. There are three types of scripting elements. Right. Scripting tags. Scripting tags is use of extreme Java source code JSP. In this example, we have created two files, index.html and welcome.jsp. The index.html file gets username for the user and the welcome.jsp file prints the username with the welcome message. Note: let's look at the code. Index.html file, welcome.jsp file. Right. Expression tag. The code place within JSP expression tag is written the output stream of the response, so you need not write out print to write data. It is mainly used to print the values of variable or method. Right. Now let's take a small example of displaying the current time. To display the current time, we have used the getTime method of calendar class. The getTime is an string method calendars class, so have called it after getting the instance of calendar class by the getInstall method. Index.jsp. Distraction tags. The JSP distraction tag is used to declare files and methods. The code written in the JSP declaration tag is placed outside the service method of an auto-generate servlet, so it doesn't get memory at each request. Right. In the below example of JSP declaration tags, we have defined the method which returns a club of a given numbers and calling the method of for the JSP expressions tag. But we can also use JSP scriptlet tag to call the declared method. Let's see how. Index file. So it is all about JSP script elements. Now let's move in ahead and see request and response object of JSP. JSP request and response object. JSP request is an implicit object of type HTTP servlet request that is created of each JSP request by the web container. It can be used to get request info such as parameter, header information, remote address, server name, server port, content type, character encoding, etc. It can also be used to set, get and remove attributes for the JSP request scope. Let's see the simple example of the request implicate object. What we are printing the name of the user with the welcome message. Let's see how. Example of JSP request implicate object. Index.html file. Index.html welcome JSP file. JSP response implicate object. In JSP, the response is an implicate object of type HTTP request response. The instance of HTTP servlet response is created by the web container for each JSP request. It can be used to add a multiplication response such as redirect response to another resources, send error, etc. Let's see the example of response implicate object where we are redetecting of response to Google. Example of response implicate object. Index file HTML Welcome JSP. So this is how request and response object works. This brings to the ends of Servlet JSP tutorial article. Okay, right. Thanks for watching my video. Thank you.